All right, hello. This is Indigo Let. I am the. Hopefully, my mic is down here. I might bring it up here to help me speak into it a bit better. But yes, I'm Indigo Let. I am the social media coordinator and the secretary, sorry, the treasurer of Strive. Um, we usually try to do these like live streams every 2 weeks, but I think I went more than 2 weeks just because right now I'm moving. So my room's a mess. My body's kind of blocking a lot of what's happening in the back. But just wanted to welcome you to this Sunday. We as also Super Bowl Sunday. So if you watch that, then have fun with that. We will be going over today some. This would probably be. I'll probably make two live streams, probably one this week and then one on Monday for President's Day because I'll be off for President's Day. So I'll probably make another live stream, live stream that Monday. Um, uh, and So it'll be like probably 2 weeks in a row um, about Black history, Black trans and queer history. So, and just update you on what's going on with Strive and everything. And then we'll go from there. But also, just wanted to apologize for being a little late. I was just trying to maneuver things around my room and just, like I said, with everything that's going on with moving and everything, it's been a bit, it's been a bit, a little bit. So let me check the live stream real quick, see if my voice is coming up and everything. Hold on. We'll go from there. But also, just wanted to apologize for being a little late. Yeah, it's doing real well. Okay. So the live, yeah. The yeah, the my voice is sounding okay, and the live stream on Facebook anyway is sounding okay. So yeah. So like I said, I am the social media coordinator and uh the treasurer of Strive. My name is Indigo Let. I go by they them pronouns. Um, so a little bit about what Strive does. I try to do this every time because a lot of people may not know us and everything. Um, so we are a transgender activist organization based in Pensacola, Florida. We try to help the Gulf Coast as much as we can. Our main job, our main thing that we do with our organization is we try to benefit the local queer and trans community. We usually take money uh, from we're not a 501c3, so we don't have like a government type of program. But what we do is we take donations through like Cash App and PayPal, or sometimes when we're at events, we take straight cash and we put it into our PayPal account. Excuse me. And that money goes to help trans people, queer trans people with food, housing, transportation, clothes. Usually, a lot of times it's like HRT, which is hormone replacement therapy. And then we really try to make sure that we can assist and help the local trans community, wherever we can. Especially those that are a little outside of our area. We either try to link them up with another group, or do our best to try to give them something that just keeps them going on their way. Because we're not an organization that's like massive, and then we have the money and the funds to like get you like an apartment complex or anything like that. But we can at least give you a little bit of money to like aid you to be able to get a place to stay at night and stuff like that, things like that. So that's what we do. And like I said, if you want to follow us, we're on Facebook, like where we're seeing. You like and subscribe on our YouTube. You can subscribe to us on Twitch. We also have a Discord as well. Our Discord is really great. Just link us, just message us to either one of the platforms. We're also on Instagram as well. Instagram and X. I forgot to mention that. And then um, either later today or probably later today, I'm going to try to get us a Blue Sky. I think we already have a Blue Sky, but we need to re I need to get back into Blue Sky. I have a personal Blue Sky account, but I want to get Strive a Blue Sky account so that we can be on Blue Sky as well. Because I know a lot of people are making that transition from X over to Blue Sky, so we can have more reach to people out there as well. Um, so I'm trying to think of anything else we're on. Facebook, Instagram, X, Blue Sky soon. Oh, Discord. So if you see this and you want to be in our Discord, you message us on Facebook, Instagram, X, and later on Blue Sky, and just message us, and then we'll send you the link to our Discord so you can join the Discord. Discord's pretty fun. Definitely different groups that are on there, meaning like just different channels. And there's like a channel for just joking around, a channel that's just general, even channels for like group therapy, um, channels about theory reading and things like that. So it's a really connected community that we have there. Mint runs it, and they do a really great job of running that. Um, and so if you know Mint, then you can message them on that. But if you don't, just like I said, this is us. Also, to the last thing, we have what you call it? We have not monthly. We have weekly meetings. So every week, um, like every week, we meet up at a Black Cafe and Bookstore. So we meet up. I'm trying to think, like at 6 p.m. I haven't been to a meeting in a minute. So I'm trying to remember now. But so we're at the Black Cafe and Bookstore that's on Davis. If you're in Pensacola or if you're in the counties near us, it is so if you're on Davis and was that Fairfield? I want to say that's Fairfield. I might be wrong, but it's like Davis and Fairfield. It's like right where the highway is at. So when you come to the highway, um, right where Davis, and there's like a gas station, and then like a little ways down, there's a uh, little building that's a bookstore and a cafe. So that's where we're at. I want to say Davis and Fairfield. That's the two streets that like they're like right next to it. But anyway, so um, so yeah, so that's what we have for today. So we're gonna go over probably like I'm gonna try to make this since we're probably gonna do another live stream next week for President's Day. I'm gonna try to make it. And also, I forgot to mention, if you're on Facebook, we do have subtitles. I don't know if it's going to show up for YouTube or Twitch. I'm not sure. I don't think they do though. I don't know why it doesn't show up for YouTube, because YouTube should automatically just give you, you know, um, it should just automatically give you what you call it, uh, closed caption or captions, right? But on our Facebook, we have captions. So I'm glad we did that, because for people who have a hard of hearing, or, they're just, um, like listening to or like reading what I'm saying, um, you know, it's great for that. So today we're probably going to go over about, I'm trying to think of any events that are coming up for us before we start. And I can't, because I wasn't at the last meeting, I do not know. I think the Sapphic Club, I think their drag show already passed, so it was on February 1st. So I think that already happened. I think there might be something coming up, but I'm not so sure. So, but we will let you know. Like I said, you follow us on Facebook and Instagram, um, and especially Instagram, we'll link the new events and stuff on there, and other events on there, and we'll let you know them. But I'm trying to think, because right now we probably don't have that many events coming up, just because this is the time of year. It's kind of like this. It just kind of, maybe there's a few events and then maybe there's not, and then you kind of have to just um, find the things where they are. I because usually right when it gets to like April, May, June, that's when it starts to pick up, because Pride is about to start in June, and then you go from there. So hold on, let me get this drink real quick. talking. So, but um, but yeah. So, all right. So just if anybody has any questions as we're going on, just message them in the chat, and I'll try to answer them the best way I can. If it's about what I'm speaking about, if it's about um, you know, just about Strive in general, I'll try to answer the best way I can. But yeah, let's just get started, and we are going to hold on. Oop, let me see something. Where's my StreamYard? There it is. Okay. We are going to go back in time a little bit and let's see. There it is. Okay. There we go. So we're going to go back in time a little bit and talk about Gladys Bentley. I think they show a picture of her. So, and let me make this larger so that people can read as we go along. That should be big enough. Okay. So yeah, we're going to start in the 1920s, 30s, and then we'll go from then to like the 60s, and then probably we'll talk about the other two later, which right now we have Gladys Bentley. We're going to mention Marsha B. Johnson, and then we're going to mention Frankie Knuckles. So we're going to go through just these three, you know, one, probably Marsha B. Johnson. Frankie Knuckles, you don't know as well, obviously, and then maybe Gladys Bentley, you don't know as well. Well, Janet Mock and Sha'Carri Richardson, I might touch on later. Janet Mock, I'll probably touch on later, definitely. Um, and then I'll probably add in a few more queer and trans people with that one coming up. So yeah, let's go through this. Let's see here. Oop. All right, so it says picturing Black history, Gladys Bentley, pioneering queer performer. Gladys Bentley consistently and unapologetically broke the unspoken rules of gender norms. And this article is on picturingblackhistory.org. Um, and you can just put picturingblackhistory.org and then Gladys Bentley, and then I'm sure it comes up. The article was made by Taylor. Ooh, that middle name. Taylor Ajewole, 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 probably Ajewole, Duckett. They put the first name, they put the last name, and they had that middle name there, and they were like, try me, bit. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just thinking for Taylor's teachers, they looked at that and it's like I'm sure every white teacher she's had, this is like even just regular, it doesn't even matter what race, they probably were like, we are not touching that middle name. They're gonna have to, I don't even know. But yeah, that's what she looks like. That's a pretty good picture of Gladys Bentley. Yeah, she kind of reminds you a little bit of kind of like a what's her name, Missy Elliott kind of type, like a what's her name, like a Missy Elliott, but also Queen Latifah type, like um a bit a bit heavier set, but like could style it and do it well. And we see a lot often now with a lot of Black women who are a bit, who may be considered a bit more overweight, but like style themselves so well, and do not care and don't care about how people think of them. Sorry, scratching my ear. Um, so I usually like to highlight what I'm about to read so you can see what I'm reading. And so we'll go like that. All right. So I would like for you to take a few moments to look carefully at this photo. How would you describe the person you see? Some might see a dapper, dressed performer in a different era. Others might be tempted to use the adequate pejoratives. Pejoratives. used to describe women who dress as men. Some might even try to compartmentalize her into categories of women, black, and queer. The I keep on getting notifications. Sorry, rather. The acts of looking and seeing are intimate, sometimes uncomfortable experiences. However, I'd like you to look at with me a pioneer of queer culture, Gladys Bentley. People have often been left out of our understanding of Black history. When queerness is included in a discussion of Black history, it often focuses on Black men. Look then at Gladys Bentley. All right, we'll go through that. Bentley, born 1907, and she passed away in 1960. Was a known as a performer who consistently and unapologetically broke the unspoken rules concerning gender norms. Her style, often demonstrated in this photo from her performance at the Harlem's Umbanji Umbanji Club. Umbanji Club, circa 1930, could be considered gender nonconforming. Bentley wore a white tuxedo with tails, a white top hat, and a cane for her performances. Sometimes she used the stage name Bobby Mitten, which was as androgynous as her appearance. Okay, and then I'll do this. Yeah. In addition to her own gender nonconformity, she performed with men in drag as her background singers, choosing to associate herself with those who similarly opted to live outside the gender binary. Bailey did not also hide from the fact that she was a lesbian and was very proud and out in a time when social norms made it dangerous to be black and queer. Her truth is also present in her lyrics. While today may not consider her music to be explicit, her songs about loving women were considered as scandalous as her clothes. And then we have an example here, actually. Um, Bentley was known for changing the lyrics of popular songs and making them lewd. An example of this can be found in a remix of the song My Alice Blue Gown. The original lyrics were um, hold on, does anybody say anything there? Okay, I was just checking. All the world seemed to smile around. Yeah, all the world seemed to smile around till it wilted. I wore it. I always adorned it. My sweet Alice Blue Gown. Um, Bentley's version went as follows. And he said, Dearie, please turn around. And he shoved the. Anyway, oh my God. Lord, I'm not reading that. Oh, God, okay. Girl, this is the. I'm retroactively going 100 years in time. And I'm like, girl, they were more explicit back then. I guess they didn't have the FCC back then. They was just, let me just make this so. Oh my God. Anyway, uh, yeah, I'm just, we're just gonna, we're gonna go, girl. Like you insane. Um, her gender nonconforming lyrics can also be seen in an episode of Boogieing My Boogieing My Woogie. I was in the army. Now the war is through. Look out, pretty mama. I'm coming home to you. Nevertheless, she continued to sing her truth and make music that felt good to her soul. The fact that her raunchy lyrics were considered a man's dominant, complicated public reception to her music. So she was doing before, like, you see, like, I'm trying to think of all the female rap artists today. Like, um, just all of them today. In the 90s, excuse me, a little Foxy Brown, um, little Kim. Trying to think of the ones today. They're in my head. I can't remember all of them right now, but they're just, yeah. You could probably rattle them off right now, but with more raunchy and lewd, just lewd lyrics, but very empowering to say those things. Like for me, it's over the top for me, but like I'm not going through that life. So like I totally understand if you want to make lyrics that are like a bit more explicit because that's how you feel. So like I can't really judge that. So but yeah. Wild. It's another picture of her right there. And then okay. So however, Bentley made it very clear throughout her early career that she was not concerned with respectability politics or even being a proper lady. Even though there's a few women who sing openly about loving women, openly sapphic songs are still few and far between in mainstream music. Yeah, even today, like you know, um, women singing about loving women, like straight up. Like I mean, I know there's artists. I'm sure. Uh, what's her name? She just was on the Grammys. Um, she's from the Midwest. I can't remember her name right now. The red hair. Um, Good luck, Charlie, or whatever. Good luck, whatever that. Yeah, I can't remember her name, but I can hear the song in my head too. Oh, what's her name? I'm gonna have to look it up real quick. Sorry, y'all. Hold on. There's no way. I just got it. Hold on. I think it's Good Luck. Yeah, Chaperone. Chaperone. Dochi. I think is bi. I want to say. I think they're bi. I might be wrong. Or they dated a bi person. I think that's what it is. They dated a bi person. So I don't think they're by themselves, but yeah, like Chaperone, and there may be a few others who have made songs that had talked about um, women in a loving way, as they may as like you hear like R&B artists talk about men, or sorry, R&B artists talk about men or women, but from the opposite gender or from the other gender or from a straight way. That's what I'm going to say. Like from a straight angle. Like you don't hear many artists today sing about like there's a woman artist or a femme singing about like my love for this woman, but like not as just a friend, but like actually like I love you relationship wise. And I know there's like a few songs in few and far in between, but it's not like mainstream, like just a stream of music talking about I love, and even from men who are like, hey, I love this man, but I love him like a very relationship like way. Um, and I yeah, I think that's something that is often not touched upon or sung about as much as it could be. Just that deep love for that person. But anyway, let's keep going. Um, During the 1940s and 50s, homosexuality was increasingly linked to communism, and to be accused of being communist could also result in imprisonment. During that time, Bentley made the decision to closet herself and live a subdued life that was considered a morally responsible for the 1940s and 50s. Um, yeah, she traded the top hat for a more traditional feminine attire, even going so far as to proclaim she was a woman again in a 1951 Ebony magazine article. Although she had to closet herself to continue her career, she remains one of the most widely known gender outlaws. Though Bentley went living out loud to living quietly, she should be remembered among queer ancestors who lived and died queerly, paving the way for future Black non-binary and gender-conforming people. Yeah, so people often forget the Red Scare and the McCarthy era and how much it not only like went after leftists, especially socialists and communists, and I'm sure anarchists too, to a certain extent. I'm sure, but also just like um, Also it went after anybody who like was radical in any sense. Like there are so many like musicians and artists of that time who no matter what race, you kind of had to like be you had to hit a fine line in between what you were doing because you didn't want to be considered, a communist or anything like that because you'd be in prison for that. And so, and anytime you're promoting that, that's why like somebody, oh, what's his name? I can't remember his name right now. I want to say Robert something. Let me see. Hold on, sorry, y'all. It's Robert something. I have to. I might be wrong. Hold on. Nope, that's not his name. Hold on. Damn, I can't remember his name. He was like a singer, um, in the 1940s and 50s, I think, and he went to Russia at the time, or the Soviet Union at the time, and had great respect for the Soviet Union for the time, and how he was treated there compared to how he was treated in America. Um, he's on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember the man's name. I see his face too, and I just can't remember. Anyway, so yeah, it was a scary time for a lot of people. So a lot of people had to go. This is probably this on top of the Hell's Code. Probably put a lot of people back in the closet. And the Hell's Code um, was a law made back in I want to say, let me see. Yeah, it was made from 1920. Yeah, 1922. Yeah, 1934 to um 1968, right? So it was these laws that like regulated certain things in the movies, right? So, but one of the things they did regulate was queerness. So before you see some of these movies in the 20s and even the early 30s, they often had like, some open queerness in it or like at least touched upon it. But after the Hell's Code, it kind of like they had to kind of skirt around or like make it, look like a different thing. But yeah, so there you go with that. And so that's Gladys Bentley. We will talk about the next person who is going to be uh, Marsha P. Johnson. We're going to go over her, um, not quickly, but just because we know the story, and I don't want to. I want people to look up her videos and read more about her. But Frankie Knuckles is the one I want to get to because, like, I think that one is some people don't know too well. But it's also important to speak about Marsha B. Johnson always. It's always important. Never not speak on her name, never not mention her name. Um, but it's just also, you know, we want to. Why does it say stop screen? Oh, we need to stop screen. Oh, okay. And then we'll get the Frankie Knuckles, and then we'll be out of here. Okay. So we have, I think it's working on that. Yeah, there we go. And let me make this larger for y'all. There you go. So there's a picture of her right there. Pay it no mind. Marsha P. Johnson. Anyway, so Marsha P. Johnson was one of the most prominent figures of the gay rights movement in the 1960s and 70s in New York City. always sporting a smile. Sure. Oh, my bad. The article is from Women's History Month um, .org. So I'm just pulling it from that. Um, and we're just going to lightly touch upon it, but we'll have more of a discussion on her, I'm sure, in our meeting and on other things as well. Let me see if our live stream is still working. Let's go up there. Hold on, yeah. Okay. Should be. Yeah, we're still going. Okay. Yeah. So just making sure. So, okay. So Marsha P. Johnson, Sport and Smile. Johnson was an important advocate for the homeless LGBTQ plus youth and those affected by HIV and AIDS and the gay and transgender rights. Uh, Marsha P. Johnson was born on August 24th, 1945, in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Johnson grew up in an African American working class family. She was the fifth of seven children born to Michael Sr. and Alberta Claiborne. Johnson's family worked in General Motors and uh, it worked in the General Motors assembly line in Linden, I think it's Linden, New Jersey, and her mother was a housekeeper. Johnson grew up in a religious family and began attending Mount Teman African Methodist Episcopal Church as a child. That is a mouthful. That's insane. Mount Teman African Methodist Episcopal Church as a child. She remained a practicing Christian all her life. Johnson enjoyed wearing clothes made for women and wore dresses at the ages of 5, even though these clothes reflected her. Oh, my bad, y'all. Even though these clothes reflected her sense of self, she felt pressure to stop due to other children bullying her and experiencing sexual assault at the hands of a 13-year-old boy immediately after graduating from Thomas A. Edison High School. Johnson moved to New York City with one bag of clothes and $15. That is insane. You could not do that today. You came with one bag of clothes and $15. You mean 15,000, right? Like, or 1,500? No. Oh, just 15? That's wild. Um, okay, let me see. Once in New York, Johnson returned to dressing in clothing made for women, uh, dressing clothing that fitted her gender anyway, and adopted the full name Marsha B. Johnson. The P stood for pay it no mind, a phrase that became her motto. Johnson described herself as a gay person. There's some old terms in here, so just letting you know. Gay person, a transvestite, a drag queen, and she used she, her pronouns, and the term transgender only became common after her death. So that's another thing that we often forget about. Back then in the 60s and 70s, uh, calling yourself, a transvestite was okay, not okay, it was okay by their standards because the term transgender was not made yet. It was not a term. I want to say Leslie Feinberg, and then about 1990 when that term came out. So like in the early 90s is when that term really started to like come through. So right around the time of her death. Anyway, it wasn't easy. It was not easy to live on the margins. New York State still persecuted gay people and frequently criminalized their activities and their presence. Rights for LGBTQ plus people were limited and sometimes ignored completely. Having difficulty finding employment, Johnson turned to sex work. Another thing that's often done by a lot of unfortunately, is done by a lot of queer and trans people. And not to say that sex work is bad or anything like that. I'm always for sex work, But if that's not something you wanted to do, and then because of being persecuted by the system, um, or being not able to allow to be able to work a job, uh, like everybody else, because of how you dress and because of how they perceive you, and the only thing you can do is either probably drag or like sex work, then a lot of queer and trans people go to those places, and then those two things I just mentioned get scrutinized. So it's kind of like this weird circle, you know, um, this like uh, you're a product of your environment in that case, and then your environment's are the people in the environment, other people outside the environment are criticizing you for going into the environment when that was the only things you could do, right? Um, it's just so funny how like a lot of times being black and being queer and being trans like just intersect, because there's a lot of black and brown people and indigenous people who like, and even some poor white people who go through working jobs and being in places and then get scrutinized for being a janitor and scrutinized for like working these what would be considered minimum wage jobs, but yet those jobs are vital to the very system that we're working in. So like it's just this thing of like you know being scrutinized for not working a career position or something like that. But anyway, um, she was often abused by clients and arrested by the police. She also didn't have a permanent home during this time and bounced around, sleeping with friends in homes and hotels, restaurants, and movie theaters. She also found work waiting tables, um, and performing in drag shows. In a 1992 interview, Johnson said, "I was no one, nobody from Nowheresville until I became a drag queen." Um, let's see. Not long after, not long after moving to New York, then 17-year-old Johnson met 11-year-old Silva Rivera, a Puerto Rican transgender girl, and the two became instant friends. Rivera later said of Johnson, "She was like a mother to me, as Johnson has done for herself. She has encouraged Rivera to love herself and her identity." Johnson adored wearing colorful, fun outfits that she made from finds at thrift stores and discarded items. She was also seen wearing a crown of flowers. Yeah, there's pictures of her wearing a crown of flowers and things like that. Yeah, and still to this day, a lot of queer and trans people, like when you first come out, a lot of times, some of the places, especially a lot of us don't have money, so a lot of the places that we go to find something is usually at a thrift store. So yeah, it's still to this day. Some of the first places you go to shop for clothes for yourself. Johnson's life changed when she found out she was found herself engaging with the resistance of the Stonewall Inn on June 28th, 1969. In the early morning hours, police raided the bar and began arresting patrons, most of whom were gay men. Johnson and Rivera arrived at Stonewall around 2 a.m., where Johnson said in a later interview that place was already on fire. There was already a raid already. The riots had already started. There are many competing stories about what Johnson did during the raid at Stonewall, but it is clear she was on the front lines. Johnson, like many other transgender women, felt like they had nothing to lose. They were not only angry by the police raid, but also the oppression and fear they experienced every day. In wake of the raid, Johnson Rivera led a series of protests. Yeah, so that's something that has been, I don't say debunked. I'm not gonna go with that, but like it has just been a kind of a misnomer that like she threw the first brick at Stonewall. It most likely, I don't know if there was a brick or anything like that, but there was definitely a fight at the Stonewall Inn. An hour or two before, um, what's her name? An hour or two before Marsha B. Johnson got there, Marsha B. and Silver Rivera got there. But they basically just joined the fight as it was happening. So it's probably one of those things where they arrived and was like, "Oh, well, let's fight back and let's do what we need to do." Um, some people say it was Stormy De La Verne, who was a lesbian, kind of uh, like she's kind of dressed like how Gladys Bitney was dressed all the time. She's dressed in suits and stuff like that. Very somewhat butch woman. but very just dressed very clean all the time, stuff like that. Always try to protect their community as well. So it may have been Stormy D. Laverne. I don't know, but all we know is the queer community came together that night and fought back. So that was the most important thing to me. Like I honestly don't care who threw the first brick as long as people were actually physically fighting back against their oppressors, in which this case it was the New York government, as America as a whole in this case, but also that night the police. Um, so yeah, that's the most important thing to me. Like I honestly, at the end of the day, I think for queer kids and the next generations that learn about Stonewall, I think it's just important that like we just understand that it's 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 just something that um we just learned that like queer and trans people came together that night and fought back against their oppressors. That's pretty much it. Like they just straight up. So anyway, I think that's the most important thing because I don't want people to like start picking and choosing which part of the LGBTQ plus did the most. Everybody did something that night. Like everybody was a part of it. So anyway, the raid on Stonewall galvanized the gay rights movement. The first gay pride parade took place in 1917. That's 1917. 1970, and a series of gay rights groups, including the Gay Liberation Front, a more radical organization, and Gay Activist Alliance, a more moderate but focused spinoff group, emerged. Johnson was involved in the early days but grew frustrated by the exclusion of transgender and LGBTQ plus people of color from the movement, which is something that we often are upset about today. Anyway, she's actively spoke out about the transphobia in the early gay rights movement. In 1970, Johnson Rivera founded uh, Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries, STAR, an organization dedicated to sheltering young transgender individuals who were shunned by their families. The two also began Star House, which a place where transgender youth could stay and feel safe. Star House was of personal importance to Johnson Rivera as they spent much of their youth experiencing homelessness and destitution. The first Star House was in the back of an abandoned truck in the Greenwich Village. Excuse me. Star House was moved to the dilapidated building, which they tried to fix up, but the group was evicted after 8 months. Yeah. Excuse me. Something that Strive has been trying to do as well is have like our own building where we can, um, do some of the same things. We have tried to like either raise money to like get a homeless shelter for queer and trans people because in our area in Pensacola and the Gulf Coast area in general, but definitely in Pensacola, it's probably excluding New Orleans because New Orleans has a Tulip House and they can help house queer and trans people there. But in Pensacola and probably most of Florida, definitely where we are, they are not homeless shelters that will take in queer and trans people. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if they, I hate to say the word, but if they pass, they probably will get into their gendered, um, homeless shelter. But often, more often than not, a lot of times, queer trans people here will not be able to get housing. So that is something that, yeah, that is something that we often just, that, is just something that we often think about. So anyway, let's try to see if I can. I guess we could just read the rest. Okay. Oop. Oop. Throughout the 1970s, Johnson became more visible and a prominent member of the gay rights movement. She began performing with the drag group Hot Peaches. She attracted the attention of many, including the pop artist Annie Warhol, who included her in a series of prints in 1975 entitled Ladies and Gentlemen. An interview Johnson did for a 1972 book, she said her ambition was to see gay people liberated and free to have equal rights. that other people have in America. She wanted to see her gay brothers and sisters out of jail and on the streets again. In another interview, she said, "As long as gay people don't have their rights across America, there is no reason for celebration." In 1980, she was invited to ride in the lead car of the Gay Pride Parade in New York City, yeah, which is a very important like top thing. I think that one in the LA Pride, if you ride in the front, um, it's like amazing. I know, oh, what's her name? There's another girl, really, she was young. I know she was trans and she got the ride in the front, and it was an amazing story with her, but I can't remember her name right now. I'm just forgetting everybody's name. But anyway, um, but yeah, so let's keep going. Despite her joyous personality and ever present smile, Johnson experienced hardship. She never let her uh, personal setbacks stop her active advocacy. In the 1970s, Johnson experienced a series of mental health breakdowns and spent time in and out of psychiatric hospitals. She also continued to engage in sex work, not knowing any way to make money, and continued to get arrested. In 1990, Johnson was diagnosed with HIV. She spoke publicly about her diagnosis and how people should not be afraid with the disease in a June 26, 1992 interview. Um, Dang, she did that interview and then like died like 6 days later. Jesus Christ. Anyway, in July 6, 1992, Johnson's body was found in the Hudson River. She was 46. Initially ruled a suicide, many friends questioned that conclusion and suspect foul play. At the time, 1992 was the worst year on record for anti-LGBT violence to the New York Anti-Violence Project. Police reclassified this as a drowning from an undetermined cause, but the LGBTQ plus community was furious that the police refused to investigate further and that many press outlets did not cover her death. At her funeral, hundreds of people showed up at the church. It was so crowded, people stood on the street. In 2012, New York Police Department reopened the case to Johnson's death. I think there is a documentary on Marsha B. Johnson that was on Netflix, and I think they did cover that a little bit more. I think it was just called "Pay It No Mind." So if you want to watch, I think Netflix had a documentary called "Pay It No Mind." I think it's Marsha B. Johnson. I think they do talk about that because I haven't seen that documentary in like I think the documentary came out pre-COVID. So yeah. Um, Lastly, in 2009, New York City announced that Marsha B. Johnson, along with Rivera, would be the subject of a monument commissioned by the Public Arts Campaign. She built NYC. The monument would be the first in NYC to honor transgender women. In 2020, New York State named a waterfront park in Brooklyn for Johnson. Johnson also the subject of many documentaries. She remains one of the most recognized and admired LGBTQ plus advocates. So yeah, um, very very important woman, like a very very amazing woman there. Let's see, and then I think I have a video, but let me see if I can play. You know that video? Hold on. Let me see. Let me see if I can. Don't add that to the stage. Okay. Let's see if we can. Where are you? Okay, so this is a PBS. It's like 3 minutes, or well, close to 4 minutes. Um, we'll watch that, and then we'll go over Frankie Knuckles. And then, like I said, if y'all have any questions or anything on this or about Strive or anything, just let us know, and then we'll continue from there.
And now, as part of
Actually, let me do that real quick. Should be on.
Of our Hidden Histories series, we look back on the legacy of a larger-than-life figure in her own community. Her contributions to the fight for gay and transgender rights were, until recently, largely overlooked.
I drank my part in the gay movement this year.
She was fondly known as Saint Marcia, a central figure in New York City's gay liberation movement, a model for artist Andy Warhol, and an advocate for transgender and homeless youth. Marcia P. Johnson wore many hats, sometimes literally. They were often adorned with plastic fruit or flowers.
They call me Marsha Payne, no mind, Johnson. I'm trying to pay a lot of those things that happened to me in life. Absolutely no mind.
Assigned male at her 1945 birth in Elizabeth, New Jersey, Johnson started wearing clothes made for girls when she was 5, but felt pressured to stop after being sexually assaulted by a 13-year-old boy. As soon as she graduated from high school, she fled across the Hudson River to New York City with just $15 and a bag of clothes. There, she dressed as she pleased. While better than in her hometown, life in New York City could still be hard for those who didn't match societal norms. Cross-dressing was a crime in New York State, and Johnson was sometimes arrested simply for wearing makeup in public. Often unable to find a job and without a permanent residence, she turned to sex work.
Now let's not be pessimistic. I love it's worth a try.
Johnson really enjoyed performing in drag. She was part of a drag group called Hot Peaches and took to the stage sporting red heels and bright wigs. Even though the bohemian enclave of Greenwich Village, where Johnson lived, was the focal point of the city's gay life, police still routinely raided gay bars there. During a late-night June 1969 raid on the Stonewall Inn, patrons fought back, and the modern gay rights movement in America was born. Johnson, who was 23 at the time, has wrongly been credited with throwing the first brick of the uprising. She said she didn't arrive at the scene until after the chaos had begun, one of the many transgender women on the front lines that night, because, they said, they had nothing left to lose. Johnson may not have started the Stonewall riot, but for decades to come, she was a key player in the LGBTQ plus rights movement that it sparked, even as many gay and lesbian groups marginalized transgender people.
You never completely have your rights. One person until you all have your rights.
With longtime friend Sylvia Rivera, also a transgender woman, Johnson founded STAR, Street Transvestites Action Revolutionaries. The term transgender was not widely used yet. The political collective supported and housed homeless LGBTQ plus youth and sex workers. During the AIDS crisis that began in the 1980s, Johnson helped spread awareness and raise money. She looked after sick friends even as she struggled with her own mental illness and became HIV positive herself. In 1992, Johnson's body was pulled from the Hudson River. Police first called it suicide, then reclassified it as undetermined, and in 2012 reopened the case, which remains unsolved.
Oh, okay.
She was 46 years old.
And if I die, I hope nobody cries either. I hope you get up and dance, party, and have a good time.
Today, her name and legacy live on with the Marcia.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I probably could have just showed that video instead of just reading all that, because it basically went over just about everything I just went over, but it's fine. sometimes. But yeah. So there's that. And then let me go over. Let's see if I can make this larger for y'all real quick for. Oh, wow. Okay, hold on. There we go. Okay. Okay. So, lastly, we're going to go over Frankie Knuckles. And so from then, let me see if I can make this larger. And then, there we go. So I got Frankie Knuckles. He was a DJ of. Actually, I'll just explain it for y'all. But let's see. Okay. So let me highlight this. It's not too much to read here because it's not too much. So you got Frankie Knuckles as a producer, remixer, and DJ. Frankie Knuckles is the inventor and popularized. Is the inventor and why do they say it like that? Anyway, is the inventor and popularized of house music, known worldwide as Chicago House, and named after the Chicago Warehouse nightclub where he drew huge crowds between 1977 and 1987. The man many call the Godfather of House, an out gay producer, remixer, began DJing in New York in the early 70s while still a teenager, before the disco boom, which proved to be the first flowering of modern dance music. 10 years later, he was in Chicago putting together the mega mixes of old school disco hits with a new drum machine percussion appreciative audience for an appreciative audience of crucial clubs like the Music Box and the Warehouse. Another decade from those formative steps for house music, Knuckles was back in his New York home, working as a producer and remixer for the biggest pop stars in the business. His career spanned more than any dance producer, and without him, the landscape would be immeasurably different. Um, oh shoot! All right. Born in 1955, Knuckles was influenced by many of the jazz artists in his sister's record collection, such as Stan Getz, Sean, Sarah Vaughan, and Herb Alpert. Yeah. He studied commercial art and costume design before taking his first job as a DJ in 1971. Several years later, he hooked up with his friend Larry Levan, and the two began working at Nick Ciano's New York club, The Gallery. Levan later moved to the Continental Baths, and Knuckles worked for another club several months later before joining Levin. Again, Levin left this time to set up his own club, the Soho Place. And Knuckles continued on with the Continental Baths until the Continental Baths was closed. A group of entrepreneurs initially approached Levin about becoming the DJ at the club they were starting in Chicago. Instead of abandoning the interest in his own club, he declined but suggested his friend Frankie Knuckles. Okay. Ooh, let's see. All right. Knuckles moved to Chicago in 1977 and began DJing at the Warehouse, spinning Sasso and Philadelphia International Records in front of a crowd unused to the New York DJ style, which included beat mixing with the addition of percussion fills from a separate turntable to spruce up the sound of traditional soul. In 1983, Knuckles opened his own club, the Power Plant. While Ron Hardy was entrancing a largely gay uptown crowd in the active music box, Frankie introduced that sound to many of the Southside producers who made waves in the 1980s. Marshall Johnson, Larry Heard, Adonis, Steve Silk Hurley, and at least a half dozen others. Let's see. After 15 years of spinning vinyl, Frankie Knuckles began recording as well, debuting several singles released on the Seminole Track Records, such as Your Love, Baby Wants a Ride, You Got the Love, and Angel. Most are credited Knuckles through vocalist Jamie Principle, undoubtedly exercised some influence, were among the best tracks in the Chicago House explosion in the mid-'80s. Knuckles also recorded Danica, Let Your Music Use You, and worked with young producers like Marshall Jefferson, as well as Future Fingers Incorporated vocalist Robert Owens. Just as Chicago house began to spread worldwide during the 1986 and 87, though Knuckles returned to New York, he formed Death Mix Productions with David Morales, one of the other major names in house music, and began working on house treatments for the biggest pop stars in the 80s and 90s, including Michael Jackson, Diana Ross, Shaka Khan, Inner City, and En Vogue. Let's see. Despite the popularity of house music in the international region, the Godfather of music waited several more years before the major labels came calling for something other than a remix. Finally, Virgin signed him to an artist contract in 1991, and he released his debut album, Beyond the Mix. The singles Whistle Song, Rain Falls, and Workout moved up the dance charts, though the album failed to connect with pop or R&B fans. Knuckles continued to produce singles and remix tracks, while his second album, Welcome to the Real World, was released in 1995. Lastly, oh, shoot. No, that's right. Okay. No, Steve. Okay. According to Genre Magazine, Knuckles has been a DJ of international super stature since 1987. He remained devoted to spinning and filling the dance floor, but after the release of his two albums on Virgin Records, Beyond the Mix and Welcome to the Real World, Knuckles spent more time remixing and producing. He released two albums, collections of classics, and Out There 2001 Mardi Gras, Sydney, Gay and Lesbian. In Frankie Knuckles, Chicago's gay and lesbian audiences have helped to nurture a talent with seemingly boundless potential. He repaid by providing countless hours of self-affirming musical involvement. He passed away March 31st, 2014. He was 59. I do not know what he passed away from, but that is very, very early. That is 59 years old. That is, wow. I forgot, because I remember when he passed away, but I just, honestly didn't know what his age was at the time. I don't remember it. But 59 is way too early. But yeah. So some of the house music you listen to, a lot of the some of the songs that you listen to today, a lot of the music that you listen to, that the pop music that you listen to that has like house elements in it. I'm sure like Lady Gaga, I'm sure like a bunch of artists that we could run through with certain pop music in it. It probably has his influence in there somewhere. So yeah, so we just to see how powerful you can become, and how amazing you can do things in this world. So, but yeah, so that is it for the live stream. I'm sure if you look Frankie Knuckles up on Spotify, YouTube, or something like that, you probably listen to some of his music. House music is always good. It's a good time to listen to dance to. Yeah, so next week, I would say not next week, sorry. Yeah. President's Day, that Monday, not this week coming up, but that Monday, next Monday, we will be doing another live stream. So I think President's Day is on the 17th, I want to say. Yeah. So not this Monday coming up, but the next Monday, the 17th, I'll do another live stream. That will be, like I said, on President's Day. We'll do one then. I'll be off that day, or I might do it the Sunday. We'll see. Probably not. I'll probably do it on Monday just because it's easier, and I'll probably do it at like 2 p.m. or something like that. This one's just early because I had this. This one's early just because I'm holding the mic now, but anyway, this one's early just because I had to. I got to go to my parents, and since my roommate, so I forgot to mention I'm the only one in the house now. Probably shouldn't have said that, but anyway, yeah, my roommates have just moved One of them's already moved to Maryland. The other one's going to move to Maryland this week. And Godspeed to them. We talk about both of them are queer and trans as well. Just wanted to say to both of them, Vladimir and Ash, hope that your life in Maryland is just as better and more wonderful than it was here. So Vladimir had got a job out there and then out in Maryland. So and then their significant other Ash is following them out there. So I'll be in this house for like another 3 weeks and then I'll be gone as well. So maybe after the next live stream, you probably won't see me until like March sometime for live streams, just because I've got to move everything out of this place. And as great as this place has been, it's kind of like a supernova. You had like it for a little bit and it's gone, so you just have to kind of just reminisce what you had and then move to another place. But yeah, so like I said, on the 17th, I'll be doing another live stream, and we'll if you want to keep up with us, we're on Facebook, Facebook, Instagram, X. I'm gonna probably set up a Blue Sky today, so we should be on Blue Sky soon. If not today, this week I'm setting up Blue Sky for us, and then we'll do that soon. Instagram is where we mainly post all of our events. They do transfer over the Facebook, but if you follow us on Instagram, you'll get more of what we're doing for our organization, for Strive. And then if you want to join our Discord again, just message us on Facebook or just on the social medias that we're on. Message us, say, hey, I want to, get on the Discord. We'll get you on there. It is a lovely ragtag bunch of those, just a bunch of people on there who are queer, trans, and who were on different channels. And we're there doing that. And then trying to think of what other else. I can't think of any events right now that we've been doing or we're going to be doing. But if you are in the Pensacola area or if you're in the surrounding counties, if you want to come to a meeting, we meet every Wednesday at 6 p.m. at the Black Cafe and Bookstore on Davis Highway. So again, it's Black Cafe and Bookstore on Davis Highway. We meet there. If you're in Pensacola, it is, I want to say that's Davis and Fairfield. We're at that crossroad, and then if you see the highway that you get on the highway right by it. If you pass a little part where you can get on the highway, there's a little building that's like right after that fort, right? So there's a building right there, and then it should be right there. It's like right by the highway. So anyway, like if you're watching this late, if you're watching this late on Facebook, thank you. If you're watching it on YouTube, please like and subscribe for more for more stuff like this. And we'll try to keep these live streams going this year. I kind of fell off I started live streams really well last year, and then I kind of fell off by pride, and then after that we just barely had any, if anything. So this year I'm going to start trying to do more live streams, because I feel like even if we don't get that many people can look at these later and watch these later and gain some information, because a lot of people can't make our meetings, and so this is another kind of way that people can talk with us and get to know us and try to answer if any questions they have, they can try to answer that. So yeah, like I said, I'm trying to think of anything else that we could go over right now. Obviously what's going on in Florida, law wise, and just going on with the country is it's just obviously crazy right now. Like I said, that's why I was saying my roommates, thank them for everything and giving me a place where I can be myself to some certain extent, obviously. And being able to, I'm glad they're able to move to another state that will hopefully be more kinder to them than here. Maryland is one of those sanctuary states for queer and trans people. So, um, you know, like I said, I don't blame people for leaving. And it would be great to have everybody here to continue to fight, but I totally understand people of like, hey, I've got to, I gotta go. So I never not blame people for just leaving. Because if I left myself, I wouldn't. You feel bad, but at the same time, it's just like, what you gonna do, right? So yeah. But yeah, I just want to say, everybody, thank you for watching. If you're on Twitch as well, if you're watching this from Twitch, please subscribe. But if you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, comment. Um, if you're watching this on Facebook, please also share. Share as well. Um, share it to friends who may want to learn more about Black queer history or just learn more about our organization. So, once again, thank you guys for watching. And like I said, if you have any questions, just message us in our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, X, hopefully Blue Sky soon. And we'll see you next time. All right. Peace.